So what I was saying is that some of the scales we know pretty easily. The C scale, no flats, no sharps. Um, the B flat scale we could probably do with two flats, and D major. And down here, uh, probably doing a G where it has one sharp is fine, you know. And F flat major, F major with the one B flat. So what I would recommend doing is doing these exercises, and each day or each time you practice, just do a different scale and start with the easy ones, but gradually work to the ones that have six sharps, five sharps, whatever, and learn them. I think the main thing that's going to be good about this, and especially like this G major, there's only the one sharp, but it's way down here below the line. And I find that these notes here below the line, the G, the A, and the B, I find them hard to read when they're in the music, and I just am trying to count how many lines down they are. So if you practice this scale, you'll get used to knowing that G is there and A is there, and B in this case is here. The C is not a problem for me, but these below that seem to give me a little trouble when I'm sight reading. So if we practice this, we definitely get better at it, and we definitely learn it. Now, he recommends slurring it to begin with and then tonguing it. And then there's the repeat here. So you repeat the first part twice, the second part twice. I liked this second part here where it goes up, and they're doing more of a arpeggio almost. And then repeating that. And I like the way that sounds. And the thing about it is that if you get used to hearing what the scale sounds like and then what the arpeggios sound like, then when you get a note that goes from a D to a F sharp, you're going to know what it sounds like just because you've practiced it. So those are some that we can practice that are easier, but you can definitely start practicing the ones that are harder with all the flats. If you got used to doing all these scales and doing them fairly smoothly, when it came to sight reading, I think it would be very easy. And for me, if there's no sharps and no flats, if it's in the key of C, I can sight read that really well. So here's the C one where he played it at about 100 beats per minute. Now, you probably should be able to play the first part. It's interesting when I put that valve, it comes out of the bottom of this valve rather than coming out of the end. So this one seems to collect water really well. Maybe the plastic is keeping it at a helping to take the water into the horn. So
Well, I have two horns. I have my big one that's all brass with a silver coat, but I also have a Yamaha student horn. It's a little lighter and three valve, and the Yamaha fills up with water really fast.
this one fills up with water really fast, but it may be
Yeah,
that it's a wet day also.
it's the weather.
The weather's been wet.
In
So
the sun, in the summer, it's not that bad, but this time of year, it's really wet.
So, and this end part where they're doing almost arpeggios, C, E, G, B, is that an arpeggio? I think it is. It's just slightly different than an arpeggio. Arpeggio with C would be. Maybe I play it lower. So it's not quite an arpeggio. The arpeggios are nice to know too. I used to practice the arpeggios, F, A, C, F. They're supposed to be good at building your range. But they say to play, they used to say to play the top one louder, but Brian Davis recommends playing the higher note softer so you're reducing your airflow. And because the higher notes are a smaller volume but a faster speed. So, and then the G, GBD. And then when you get to A, A's easy, it's all down. And then B flat, all down. And then B. And then C is all open when it's that high. And suppose those arpeggios are supposed to be good for building range. So these scales, I recommend that you play these scales. Now I'm going to stop the share. You have those scales. I emailed them to you. And then I'm going to share again. And I had a different scale. And it's, I think this one is basic scale. No. Okay. Stop the share. Let me find
C
it.
major, yeah. Mhm.
Basic David exercises. So here, this that's the basic scale again. All right, let me close it. And then I will share the screen and find the other one. Finger flow, there it is. So this finger flow, I was working on one of them, but not the top one because of the sharps, but the one with the C here, number 4. Yeah, so he says the practice is real slow, like 60 beats per second. And if I share Brian Davis, he can play it for you. And I did it, I put it on Trumpet by Doug, and you can also get it on YouTube. But Trumpet by Doug will maximize it. And here's the finger exercise, 40.
I was eating because I was stressed out.
So I gave you the
Bars
finger, huh?
and chips and donuts, eating weight. But since it's a little later in the day than I hoped, but it's exercise of the week time. Let's get started.
So,
Fingers and foot under my fingers and get the sound.
so he talks about the exercise where it helps him to hear the different notes, but also gets his fingers moving and the flow of his air moving consistently. So the main thing is to play this smoothly. But he does say that this is one of his harder exercises. So when we get here, he can play it for us.
I'm not going to bore you too much by playing all the way through it at that tempo, but as you can see, what I'm going for is getting smoothly from one note to the next and really concentrating on staying in tempo. I'm actually mentally subdividing each of those clicks into 4 to make sure that my tempo stays nice and even. Now that I'm somewhat familiar with it, let's speed it up and go.
So he's subdividing into 4, and Richard always does that when we're playing. Says, think of it as taka, 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 you know, and when you're thinking of the notes, and then it helps you to keep in tempo. So no, he takes and he doubles it. And he says, once you get used to it, you can double it even again, and maybe even again after that. And that way you're really moving your fingers and you're really flowing the air, trying to be very smooth about it.
Go to quarter note equals 60.
Now, he's saying something that I was trying to understand. He says now a quarter note equals 60 beats per minute. And then he says later on, then an eighth note equals 60 beats per minute. And I don't know how that works, because if it's 60 beats per minute, isn't that always a quarter note is 1 beat if you're in 4/4?
Yeah, well, I think eighth notes is 60 beats a minute.
Yeah.
That would be really long eighth notes.
Yeah. So I don't understand when he talks about quarter notes being 60 beats per minute. When the piece is in 4/4, if it's 60 beats per minute, the quarter note's 60 beats.
Mhm.
The quarter note's 1 beat per second. So I don't understand what he means by that, but I'll try to research that one. So he goes even faster.
Now we're really getting somewhere. For me, because I spent some time practicing this already, it's not a problem to double it up again. And once I get up to this kind of tempo, once I can make it through smoothly at quarter notes equals 120, then I'm going to start repeating this more than once. I'm going to be slurring on the first time and tonguing on the second. That goes something like this. As I said, the end goal of this is to really keep doubling the tempo up and see how fast you can get this going nice and smoothly. I'm still working on playing it at half note equals 120.
Okay.
There's your answer. He's playing eighth notes at 60 beats a minute. He's playing, in other words, he's playing very slowly.
The eighth note equals 1 second.
And you see his little meter there, and then they play it at quarter notes at 60, and then you play quarter notes at 120, which is march tempo. So yeah, so he's telling you to play really slow and then play a little faster and then play it up to speed.
Okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
So I think if we could do this and do this in all keys, we'd be playing really well. Now, I think starting with the basic scales is really the way to go, because these are more difficult.
Oh, wow.
Now, I sometimes wonder if I could play if my eyebrows didn't move. So I don't think so, because when I'm playing, my eyebrows are moving. His aren't moving as much as mine, but they do move. So wonder if there's a connection. You move your eyebrows more.
I think there might be, because Stephen Mead tells you to, when you're especially playing the high notes, but he said when you're playing, he said, keep your eyes open and focus straight ahead.
Oh.
But if you do that, you look at him, he looks almost pop-eyed. And I noticed that Matonis does that. I never really looked at his face like that, but yeah, he was trained by Steve Mead. So I think by keeping your eyes open like that, you don't let your eyebrows go up. And if you let your eyebrows go up, you're liable to change your embouchure.
Might be. There might be a connection there. But
yeah,
maybe
Romeo used to say, if you're flat, raise your eyebrows.
Oh, interesting.
But you're not supposed to do that on brass. Maybe you do that on woodwinds, but you can't do that on brass because you change your embouchure.
Interesting. I wonder if actually controlling your eyebrows, where if you brought them down, you were flat, and brought them up, you were sharp, you could actually adjust your pitch by moving your eyebrows. But
well, I've tried that out of desperation before, but I don't know if it worked.
So yeah, maybe probably best to keep your eyebrows pretty steady and your eyes open.
I think
All
so.
right, that's a good comment and a good way of thinking about it. Any questions about this?
No, I do have a comment though. I learned the 12 major scales, and I learned them because I saw people on YouTube doing it. And there are two different people that were doing it, and they were doing it very fast. But what you do is you start with an F, or for a concert F, which for me is kind of a low note, and it says first and third. But you go through one whole scale doing that, and then you play you play the next one would be the next step up or half step up. So it'd go from an F to a G flat to a G to an A flat to an A to a B flat to a B and so on, and you go up the scale that way. There's only
Okay.
12 of them.
So if you're thinking of the F scale and you just go a half step up on all the notes?
No, you play an F scale, and then the next time you start with a G flat.
Yeah, now with the G flat, would each note be a half step higher than the F scale?
No. It's just a regular scale.
Okay, gotcha,
It's a
gotcha.
regular scale, but you just go up. So you can do it one of two ways. You can either do it by saying you're going to play a C scale, and then you're going to play it with one flat, and then two flats, and then three flats, and then four flats, and then you go with the sharps and learn them the same way. So you can do it that way, and that's what people usually do, I think. But what these guys did was they just started with the scale, the arrangement of the notes themselves. So you start with an F, and then a G flat and a G, and go up that way.
And just
I'll send you what I got. It's only maybe 4 pages or something, but I've got
Okay.
it in treble clef. So,
Okay.
what I did was I memorized them that way, but I did it the hard way by marking down which scale I wanted to memorize, and then I'd have to look at my card and see which one was next. Until now I know when you say which sharp or flat, which scale, I know how many sharps and flats are in it. But it's something I'd never done, and when you figure that you only have to memorize 12 scales.
Yeah, and so if you do that, it should make your life much easier and your reading much easier, probably.
Well, what I did is I memorized them, and now I play them from memory better than I read them.
Okay, very good.
So
Well, I don't know if that's very good, but it's good. All right. So that's the lesson for the day. We actually got about 5 more minutes, but I think I'm through with the lesson. So
Well, that's cool. I hope everybody had a great Christmas, and too bad
Have a-
we didn't get to play a lot of Christmas music this year, but
have a very happy New Year.
Have a really happy, safe, wonderful New Year.
I'll try to email you a couple days ahead of time if that on Monday, because New Year's is Sunday,
Saturday.
Saturday. So I have to look at my schedule and see if I'm working that Monday. But I'll email you a few days ahead of time to give you a head up.
All right. Happy New
Actually,
Year.
I can look right now if you want to wait.
sure.
Sure.
2022 is going to be a better year than the last two.
It couldn't be worse. I don't think.
It'd have to be famine and war to make it worse.
Well, the Chinese are acting up, so
Yeah, they read Sun Tzu, so they think they're fooling us. But we're teaching Sun Tzu's Art of War in our academies, and we have for years. So they can't fake us out by their trash talking, because we read the same book. But that's what they do. They move their forces forward, they make a lot of noise, and then say, "Let's negotiate." Well, okay, fine. They tried that on India. They put a bunch of missiles in place, and they said, "Let's sit down and talk." India just moved their troops back and said, "Well, we'll talk when you move the missiles."
yeah. Okay, let me just check this. I have a 10 o'clock, but the 10 o'clock I think is in La Mesa, so then I can do a Monday class. Let me check.
Okay.
It's in El Cajon, so I can do a Monday class at 1:30.
All right,
January 3rd.
That looks
January
good.
3rd.
Yep.
We'll hold you to it.
So okay, very good. You take care.
Okay, you do too, Doug.
All right,
Happy New
bye-bye,
Year.
everybody.
Lon, you